Well, thank you everybody for being here today. I gave you a few sheets that you've got here. One is going to be a slideshow, printed slideshow of the presentation I'm giving here. The color didn't quite come out on it, so there's going to be some kind of fancy-looking graphics and stuff that aren't showing up, but you'll be able to see those on the DVD, so you won't miss out. And I've also got a wagon wheel here that we're going to do an exercise with later in the meeting, so you can be thinking about that. And then you've got a sheet with you that just kind of covers some basic things and also lays out the items I'll be delivering on Thursday. So typically when we have a session, I'll deliver the DVDs, CDs, and bonus stuff on the following Thursday. So today we'll be discussing your Wild West wagon wheel. And I bet you didn't know this, but you actually do have one in your business, and that's what we're here to talk about today. So, moving on to our first slide here, we've got Pikes Peak or Bust. Now I want to take a little moment to tell you all a story. I want you to imagine that you're back in the wild, wild west, crossing the prairie. You've got the cowboys and Indians, you've got the rolling hills, and we're headed towards Pikes Peak. Now loaded up in your wagon, you've got your whole family, and likely, oftentimes when they would travel with a significant portion of their family, and most likely all of their worldly goods. You know, at that time it took you a year or more to travel from one side of America to the other. So it was a very arduous journey fraught with dangers. And so when they would travel, they would have those big old wagon wheels on their wagons. And those wheels would often have a lot of spokes. Since they had so much riding on them, it was really important that they have strong wheels. You know, because if your wheel broke on you, changing a wheel on a loaded wagon in the middle of the plains during a storm or what have you was a very dangerous occupation, a very dangerous thing to try. So much like the wagon wheel that you see in front of you there, your business actually has a wagon wheel as well. And the spokes on your wagon wheel are going to be the different types of media and methods you have to market your business. So for instance, you might have direct mail. You might have social media. You might have email or snail mail or video or business cards or event marketing. I mean, there's all kinds of different spokes that you can have on your wheel. And much like those wagons, your business rests on that wheel. So the stronger that wheel is, the stronger your business is going to be. So this is really a very, very important concept to understand in making your business last long term. So coming back to the question that I asked people beginning in PepNet, and I'm on the which would you rather have question, one way to get 100 customers or 100 ways to get one customer. And so I'm just wondering, what do y'all think about that question?
Well, Harry said 100 ways to get one customer, and so I automatically agreed with Harry because he's the marketing master.
Yeah, and Harry's actually familiar with some of the minds that I learned from as well, so he does have a little bit of an inside track on those type of things. And I would say that Harry was right about that. And essentially, my thinking about this is that marketing leads to diversity leads to stability in marketing. And so if you have just one way of getting 100 customers, I mean, that's great. But what happens if you lose that one way? And what are you going to do now? How are you going to find those other 100 customers? However, if you have 100 ways to get just one customer, losing one or even 10 of those 100 ways is not really going to impact your bottom line. So what we're looking at really is that it's going to lead to stability in your business, and what we have to be careful of is in today's economic, fiscal, social climate, there is change everywhere. I mean, we are changing at lightning speed. And so we have to be aware of those things that are going on, and we have to be really careful. So going on, then I would say that the worst number in any business is going to be one. That can be just one employee, one marketing strategy, one computer. I mean, I come with backup computers when I give speeches and talk about things. I give a presentation, I'll have a PowerPoint ready. But then I'll also have a piece of paper in case there's no power. I mean, these things have happened to me before, so it also kind of plays to the idea of negative preparation. Whatever can go wrong will go wrong. And so we need to be prepared and think about all of those things in advance. And so one is just an extremely dangerous number for any business. And we want to make sure that we're building redundancy into our businesses and making sure that we are ready to weather those changes and storms that will come our way. And so I want to talk to you briefly about whole industries that have been completely wiped out by whim of Congress. For instance, telemarketing companies. I mean, back in, gosh, this would have been a long time ago now, but back in when I was 20 years old, so putting us back to, I don't even know, I guess I can't count. But sometime around, let's say, 98, 99, Future Call. Anybody here remember Future Call? Been here long enough? Yeah, huge. They were huge. They were one of the largest employers in the Springs at that time. I worked for Future Call for about a year doing telemarketing services and things of that nature, cold calling for credit cards and all that. Very large business that employed several hundred people in the Springs regularly and was a very large revenue generator. Now, the funny thing is that none of us remember that anymore because they went out of business. They were driven out of business. In 2005, Congress passed the Do Not Call registry, and then that allowed people to register on that list nationally to not be contacted. So overnight, the telemarketing industries and industries that depended upon telemarketing for their businesses went out of business. They could no longer use that primary form of marketing. And so when I talk about 100 ways to get, or one way to get 100 clients, that's an example of that situation where they're basically driven completely out of business. And they were just over at Palmer Park and Academy, and a lot of the people that are my age that I know and friends of mine work there too. But now that is not there. And I mean, they paid good money at the time. They're paying $10, $11 for telemarketing.
Wow.
That long ago. I mean, that was good money that people could make. But the Do Not Call list ended that. Email. It's the same thing. Now, I don't know if you're aware of this, but if you send out business email, you have to have, in every single business email that you send out, you have to have opt-out links, a physical address, clearly identified items in the header that point out that it is a business email. So, for instance, in my business, I use Afro. I put Afro in brackets at the beginning of all of my messages so that you know this is business communication. And
Quick question: how do they regulate that? Let's say somebody's violating that. Who is the policing authority? Who says, "Hey, you're sending out email," or do you report them somehow?
you can report them as spam. I do not know the specific means of doing that, but I know that in the legislation that was passed, there is specific guidelines on how you report someone for spam, and I believe it's something like up to thousands of dollars per offense. So you've got people out there that are spamming like mad. These people are racking up millions of dollars in possible legal fines and fees for doing that.
Right.
So it is covered in all the legislation. I've just never actually reported anybody for spam, so I haven't done it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, there's spam filters also that are very aggressive and will send your email straight to the trash folder. I mean, that happens all the time. On top of that, you've got the regulation of the industry as well, which causes issues. Another example, fax broadcast. That was big, say, 10 years ago.
Some people are still doing it.
Yeah, we still get them
Yeah.
every day almost.
Yeah, and once again, this is illegal. You can't fax broadcast anymore. But people do it, and there were also industries that were heavily dependent on fax broadcast that, once again, went out of business overnight. And, also, admittedly, I still use fax, but other people don't, and a lot of that is also due to obsolescence in a way. I mean, there are other ways to communicate, but I still communicate via fax. So, voice broadcast, once again, fell prey to regulation, and quite frankly, they regulated it to the point where it was boring. I mean, before what you would have is you would get a phone call from, say, Superman, or during the time Bill Clinton was president, people were having Bill Clinton call you up and talk to you. And so what they would do is they'd do celebrity voice impersonations. That'd call you up and be like, hey, you should try my product type, a sales pitch. Now you have to actually have a clear message before and at the end stating, this is a sales phone call. If you do not wish to hear this phone call, please opt out. And then you can go into your funny little spiel. Well, that made it boring. That took all the fun out of it. And so now, voice broadcast is gone. Or at least it's so heavily modified as to be nearly useless. So, at the same time, we've also had industries created by executive order. For instance, Jimmy Carter. I know you'll love this one, John. Home brewing. We have to thank for Jimmy Carter. He actually, he deregulated it, and now we have a multi-billion-dollar home brewing industry because of regulation and deregulation. Same thing with Ronald Reagan. He deregulated the airwaves. Previously, they had regulated the amount of time a commercial could be. So by ending that, we got infomercials. All that exercise gadgetry, because they no longer were limited to a minute spot. They can now do as long a commercial as they wanted. And that particularly is interesting to mention because my industry and the type of marketing I do, which is direct response, that is direct response. Infomercials are direct response TV, literally. So they've taken the sales process and put it into a TV program for you. So that's just examples of how overnight businesses have been created and destroyed by whims of Congress or legislators. Now, the reason I bring that up is who gets to decide who lives and who dies Is it the government? Is it you? I think it's a combination of both. I mean, obviously the government has the ability to rule out certain ways of communicating or regulate them. But as entrepreneurs and creative thinkers, we have the ability not only to diversify our marketing efforts so that we don't die if we lose a certain stream of leads and revenue, but also that we can be creative within the restrictions they put upon us. And so while, for instance, email is now more heavily regulated than ever, if you operate within the appropriate guidelines of email, it can still be a very effective marketing tool. So I think that that's something to really keep in mind when you really decide, how do I want to market my business? How do I want to make these things work for me? So the question then that this is going to focus on is how can we add more spokes to our wheels here? I mean, you see that I've got listed, the first one's business networking. That's an easy one that we all have on our list. You've got trade associations, SEO, new mover mailings, Valpak, referral systems, mobile platforms, email, publications, business cards, postcards, webinars, video sales letters, joint venture, bounce back coupons, publicity, speaking opportunities, direct mail, social media, YouTube, newsletter, cold calling, on and on and on. I mean, if you really think about it, there are tons of ways you can market your business. And the question is, how can we add those spokes on, make our businesses more diverse and stable? And so that's what I really challenge you to think about. And if you want, take a brief moment here to write down any of these that you see that you're using right now on your own wagon wheels that I've given you there. Because we are going to sit down a little later and kind of discuss how we can add spokes to our wheels. And so one thing I want to make clear about this is when you do marketing, there's going to be elements of what makes a good marketing piece. And so and I'm not going to go over all these right now, but testimonials, a call to action, strong guarantees, irresistible offers, unique selling propositions, features not benefits, deadlines, free widgets. I mean, there's a lot of different things that go into the elements of good marketing. And what's key to remember is that good marketing will work in any industry, in any form, in any media. So if it's good marketing, it's not going to be good marketing for HVAC. It's going to be good marketing for carpet cleaning, for window repair, for automotive repair, for anything. I mean, if it's good marketing, it's going to work in whatever media you're using it in. So when you think about these things, don't get trapped in the idea that you have to market on the internet or you have to market offline. I mean, I'm a direct response marketer, but all I do is I take my direct response principles and I shift them from medium to medium to medium. I mean, that's all it is. There's no marketing by sales letter and marketing by business card. It's all the same. It's all marketing. It's just a question of what principles are you using to make sure that your marketing comes out well. And so that's something to keep in mind as we move forward in all of this as well. Now, on top of that, I want to also remind you about the 6 M's of marketing. And that is the message, market, medium, match makes you money. Now, what I mean in that is that essentially when we go through these things, what we're looking at is how can we combine the message that you have, whatever that message may be, target it to the right market via the right medium. So there's lots of ways that this simple triangle, if you will, can fail you in that. Let's say you have a great message. Your sales message is perfect, intact, 100%. You have the right target market, but unfortunately you're communicating with them where they're not at. Case in point, let's say you've got a perfectly tailored marketing for youth today, young age brackets. If you're trying to contact them via fax or via a sales letter sent through direct mail, chances are that you're not going to connect with that market as well as if you would have sent a mobile text or try to approach them in a different manner. And so a lot of also what we discuss here is not only the reason why we want to be marketing in different mediums, in different ways, is we want to be able to appeal to the different target markets that we're going to be hitting. So you might want to use text messages for a younger crowd. You might want to use faxes for an older crowd. You might want to use video sales letters for people that are on the computer a lot. You might want to use direct mail for someone that doesn't have a computer. You might want to use, a whole variety of these different methods can be keyed. And so really when you're doing your marketing, you want to think about that triangle of the market, message, medium. And I think, out of that, definitely knowing your market is a very, very smart endeavor to dig into. And so I would recommend also, if you haven't heard, there's a class over at the Pikes Peak Library District taught by Terry Zarski, Minding Your Business. Anyone familiar with that one?
I'm familiar with her, but never went to the class.
Okay, well, really beneficial class because it's key towards 3 things. One is finding a job. The second is finding resources and funding for a new business. And the third is demographic, sociographic, psychographic research. And the nice thing about that is that taking her free class, which she offers over at the Pikes Peak Library District, you can attend it and find out basically how to nail down target markets within any population in the country, but specifically Colorado Springs. And so she walked me through all the different things that you can do to actually target down and nail down and even get snail mail addresses of these people. So it's really a powerful tool and a really powerful class to take because it helped me understand my target market better. It helped me look at, okay, where are the new businesses gathering in town? How much income are those businesses generating? So I want to go for the people that have the money. I don't want to go for people that don't have any money. It also breaks down by, for instance, you can look at populations in town that are aged 50 to 65, own a townhome, have zero interest in doing outdoor activities like, for instance, hiking, fishing, hunting. They have zero interest in maintaining their property, and you can get down to really psychographic information like that, which is powerful, powerful stuff. And of course, you've got the demographics of it as well, and you can look into buying patterns. You can find out if they have credit cards, how much do they usually spend on their credit cards. I mean, this type of information is invaluable when you really start to form a picture of who you're marketing to. And so keeping that in mind as you move forward with all of this is really, really powerful ideas. And once again, I just had a couple people that I recommend take that course just the other day, called me and told me it did wonders for the business. And I take it once every, twice a year probably. Terry Zarski. She's the main head reference librarian at the Cascade branch, which means she's the reference librarian. And so she also there has access to all kinds of different reference books that are not available at any other library. And she told me that she specifically brings all the good stuff to her library where she is. So that's like a great resource. It's all completely free. Course is free, time is free, and she'll even sit down if you tell her exactly what it is you're trying to do with this class. She will sit down with you an hour at a separate time and walk you through exactly how to do what you want. So I think it's just an amazing resource, and it's just something that I would highly, highly recommend. And when we're talking about making your message market medium match, there's no better way than to nail down your market than to do that. On top of that, though, you can also, things that I recommend people do to nail down their market would be go to places where they gather, drive the neighborhoods where you sell things to. Like, are there cars there? What type of cars are they driving? Are there kids playing out there? Are they at school? What are the characteristics that make that neighborhood tick? And I think by learning more about your target market, you'll be able to make a much more effective message medium match. And so the benefits of strengthening your Wild West wagon wheel are going to be numerous. I mean, based on the other stuff I said about regulation, there's no question that you'll be more resistant to regulations, because the key thing that I also forgot to mention, I'm just wondering, what do you think is the least regulated form of marketing? Social media?
Yeah, not social media. Networking groups.
Networking groups. There you go. That's a good one. You got me there. That was not the answer I was looking for, but that is probably the best answer, I would say, and I like that too. The answer that I was thinking of was direct mail. And let me tell you why. The government gets a piece of the pie for every mail you send. They get 42 cents for every letter you send. So they have
46.
See, it goes up by day almost, it seems like.
It almost seems like a really good investment if you went out and bought a whole bunch of stamps, lifetime stamps today.
Yeah.
Like 10,000 of them, and then sold them.
Yeah.
I figured this out as a 2% return every time they
great.
increase it by 1 penny, right? So if you're able to do that once annually, as a conservative investment.
Oh my God, that is hilarious. I never thought about that, but you're right.
2% return every time.
Man, I got like a clump of forever stamps I've been sitting on right now I need to sell off, apparently. But when you think about it, though, the government gets a piece of every single piece of mail we send out. And so since they get a taste, they have no interest in regulating it. Think about it. You can bulk mail. You can't bulk spam. You can't bulk fax broadcast. You can't do bulk anything. And of course, the government can't regulate our individual getting together and talking and networking and doing all that. So I would say that's a better answer. But ultimately, they can't regulate that. They don't want to regulate that, because if they regulate it, then they're going to reduce use of it. Then they're going to lose more money, which, to the tune of $14 billion last year.
Exactly.
But they're not going to be delivering on Saturday anymore, which will save us $2 billion. So,
Right.
But so think about that and know that direct mail is an important, powerful piece that you can use because it will never be regulated out of existence. Of course, we may not have a mail service anymore, but that's just something to consider out there. But the benefits of this is also it allows you to end that roller coaster effect. Because if you're going from feast to famine type of cycles, getting lots of sales and then not getting sales, having a solid marketing wagon wheel will allow you to look at things and then increase sales over time and know that, even though this particular form of marketing isn't working right now, I've still got these other ones that are going just fine. So it'll make you more adaptive to economic changes. One thing I like about the Wild West wagon wheel is it'll make you think more creatively. When you realize that, my business isn't just about marketing through word of mouth or through all these different methods that you might use, it makes you think more creative and realize, okay, how can I broaden that scope?
So, Michael, the intent of this is for us to try to create different ways that we would market that would be potentially profitable in our business, and then have this be kind of our focus area, and ensure that we're hitting these, or
exactly.
Is that what you're?
Yep, because once you determine what your wagon wheel is, then you've got to help maintain it. So part of what this will be is, use the spokes of the wheel and go ahead and write down what you're using right now, and then I will do the same also, and then I'd be happy to go over my own wagon wheel, the different things that I use. But I can tell you, my goal would be for everybody to leave this room with at least 3, 4 more spokes on their wheel that they didn't have before.
Okay.
And oftentimes, I think also that you have resources on your wagon wheel that you might not realize. Like on mine, for instance, business cards are a part of my wagon wheel, although other people might not view that as much. But also for those of you that attended the Evolution of a Business Card training, you know that actually you can do quite a bit with your business cards. Dap. So ultimately, the whole point of strengthening this Wild West wagon wheel is that you're going to be able to make more money. And that's really what we're looking at here. And so that being said, I want to take some time for people to go ahead and look at their wagon wheels. I'd be happy to kind of go over my wagon wheel that I use in my own business and look at how we can improve all of ours collectively. And this is, of course, the point where I've said what I have to say, but I don't want to spend my time talking at you. I'd much rather spend time working together and figuring out how we can improve our businesses.
Yeah.
And so I would encourage you to go ahead and take a moment to write down whatever spokes you have on your wheel. I will do the same as well, and then if someone would like to go first, or I can go, and we'll kind of go over some of these different things that we can do to improve our businesses.
I will go. Just so we don't have the dead spot in the recording here. I use business cards, and these are all things that affect me. The website, Google Places, networking groups, and word of mouth, and that's pretty much all I do.
Okay.
And I know there's many things I need to do.
Well, Mark, there's another one on there that I don't know how successful it was, but I've seen you market the bottle of cleaner.
Yeah.
Put
Or the giveaways.
Well, it's not necessarily. I think it's a good marketing technique because it represents your business well. But I don't know how many referrals you've gotten from it. But I think that's another form, at least.
Yeah. And see, also part of this conversation could be how can we improve the marketing that you're using? How can we leverage it more? And I would say right off the bat, with any of the pieces that we're using, putting it, does your bottle have those 7 things that I talked about? Does it have a testimony on it? Does it have a reason to respond right now? Does it have guarantees on it? I mean, there's all kinds of things that you can use with even that little bottle that you give away that you can maximize more of a return on it. Do you have a USP on your bottle?
Yeah, I would. What it is with those, they're just pre-made labels, and they just put your business name on them.
Gotcha.
But I'm sure there's a company that would make them where I could put my label on there, a full label. I hadn't thought about that. So that is an idea.
Or another option would be to simply print up some type of Avery label that you attach yourself around the bottom.
That's true.
I mean, you can get those for cheap.
Yeah.
It's very true.
That might be a neat, rather than just leaving a business card behind when you clean somebody's house, you leave 2 of those with the intent that one of these should go to your neighbor. And if you have all those things that Michael said, I'm just thinking here, how maybe that would be a better moneymaker for you. I don't know.
And of course, you can't always fit all of that on any given piece, but even adding just a strong guarantee to your bottle, I think would be, or maybe a label on there that says
a coupon on there.
Yeah, coupon. Well, that was the other thing I was going to say. Is another thing you could do is a bounce back coupon that you could add on. So every time you go in there, you're giving them a bounce back coupon and give them a chance to come back.
Business, is what you're saying.
Exactly. I mean, that's big in automotive. They'll just leave the coupon on your odometer or in your front seat and say, hey, next time come back, get 10% off any service.
Yeah.
Put a deadline on it too. You'll get them coming back within a certain time frame, and now you've got something that you can track. So if you put a deadline on your bottle and an offer, then you can start tracking, okay, how many people come back from this bottle to me?
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's a lot of what we want to look at too, is how can you increase the way you're tracking your advertising to know whether or not it's being successful.
Do you use a certain program to track, or just Excel, or
Well,
you have some fancy program?
Highfalutin,
wagon wheel program.
Right here in America.
No doubt. Well, one thing, I use a variety of methods. I mean, tracking is more about being creative than it is about actually having some highfalutin programming, so to speak. But I do have CRM software that I use, and in it, when I send out an email to anybody through that program, I know when the email arrived, I know how many times it was opened, I know if you forwarded it to someone, I know how long you read it, I know, obviously I know if you unsubscribe from my list, it'll tell me. There's all kinds of information that I learned
From the emails that you send me, you can tell that, you say?
Oh, yeah. So, for instance, how I use that in my business, one of my favorite questions to ask people is, have you been reading my newspaper? Are you getting good value out of that? My newsletter. And, often I get the answer yes, and I know who's reading, I know who's not, because I know. And if they're not reading, they tell me, oh, yeah, I love it. Well, I know that's probably not a person that's going to be doing business with me. So
That's good. At least you've already, in going into that meeting, kind of the relative value that they get out of your newsletter and stuff.
exactly. And I feel, honestly, I do believe that anybody that opts out from my newsletter doesn't know what they're missing out on. Yes, there's advertisements in my newsletter, but I don't publish it for the advertisements. I publish it because it's good business to keep in touch and give good free information to your clients. So my newsletter is packed full of good information. If someone says, stop sending me that, I'm like, oh, whoa, okay. And I've had people get angry at me for it too. But ultimately, I know the value the newsletter brings, and so that's one piece that gives me feedback on how someone or how a given client or prospect views me and reacts to me. Because if they're telling me, oh yeah, I love your newsletter, read it all the time, and they've never opened it once, I'm not probably going to be doing business with that person. They probably don't think much of my level of expertise. And that's not anything to be negative about. That's just simply more information. The more I can get, the better, so I can custom tailor my messages. So I think that's really a big deal. But coming back to that, the plug that I always give, because I charge for my marketing software, but if you have a list of less than 500 people, you can use MailChimp.com for free. And it doesn't have all of the bells and whistles that mine will have, but it gets the job done. And the reason I mention that is that on my wagon wheel here, I've got a 52 times year contact program, which I've actually been slacking on a little bit recently. But the key being to get one piece of good, valuable, free, useful information into their hands a week. And so that could take the form of, Jerry Case has been great about this ever since I told him. He's still sending out good information like that, articles that he finds, funny stuff. It doesn't have to be about business. It just has to let people know you care.
Yeah,
really.
He's excellent at it.
So that's just something to consider in the great scheme of things, is 52 times a year contact program.
Well, now, like, one thing I have had trouble on is, or haven't really worked, is capturing email addresses. Mm-hmm. I go in to houses, and they write me a check. And that's, and I don't usually ask for that. And what would be a way that I could gather that up front?
Do you have any disclaimers or paperwork that people have to fill out before you can come in?
No.
Okay.
Do you have something when you leave that, like an invoice as to what you did? And,
I leave them a receipt.
okay. Because you could even have like a double carbon copy or whatever receipt, and on there they write their name and their email and that stuff on the top, and then you keep one and they keep one.
That's an idea. I mean, I could just write it on every invoice because I do get that. I don't have an elaborate one because I don't need it with a lot of disclaimers, but I know a lot of guys do. I'm just trying to think of how people would just pop into houses for not a whole lot of money, would capture that. I think I just have to ask them.
Well, certainly that's the key. I mean, if you're not asking, you get what you ask for.
Right.
And so if you're not asking for those things, then you're not going to be receiving them either. One of the things that I would recommend, the reason why I asked about the intake type of paperwork, is a very common way to get this information is if they have to fill out anything ahead of time before doing business with you,
Right.
then you simply slip in a form that says, hey, I need your email, phone, or snail mail address so I can contact you in the future about specials that I'm offering.
I got away. I just thought of it. So when they call you and schedule an appointment, you say, I would love to send you a reminder the day prior I come to your house. Could I get your email address?
That's a great idea.
That is a good idea.
And that way, number one, you don't have to call. You can just the night prior to all your appointments, send them a note. Hey, I'll be at your house at this time. Please call me if there's any conflicts. What time we have scheduled, and then you have their email address, and then you can use it for marketing.
That's a great way. I'll
Yeah,
start
I like
doing
that.
that because that's when I collect all the information. Their name, their address, the time, their the bill. I was asking what's the best number to contact you with, and then I could say and then just assume the sale and what's your email address, and most everybody will give it out.
Just say I'd like to send you a reminder, but I don't want to call you. I'd like to send you a reminder on email.
We get that. We are tremendously successful in getting email addresses. When the ladies in our office, people call in and they want me to go look at their actually looking to change out. Part of our script is we want you to feel safe and secure with who's coming to your house. We'd like to send you Mark's bio information
Oh, that's
with
awesome.
his photograph, and then I'm wearing a photograph name badge. So
Good job.
Yeah, that's good.
feel
That's
secure
great.
about who's
I'd like to
bringing
send you the bio. That's excellent. Like
You know, that's not great.
Again, if they call back and say,
Because
don't
they're-
let this guy come up.
I know this guy.
Yeah, because if I did get employees, that would be a good way to do it. If I decide to go that route.
We don't get any resistance. People are very good about giving their email.
To me, I would think that that's more to them. They view it as a customer service.
And it's also credibility for your company. And if you're willing to send a bio of your employees, that means that you're a reputable firm. You're not willing to, you're not looking to hide that. Obviously, you can put whatever you want in that bio, but it's still a step above.
Like a woman called me yesterday, and she was asking me questions. She's calling a bunch of services, and I said, "Now, I don't send an employee. I'm the one who comes out." She went, "Oh, really?" So she wanted the person who she's talking to on the phone to come out. And I have had a lot of ladies say, do you come out, or do you send somebody else?
I like Mark's idea.
Yeah, I like that one.
That's
I
a
think
great
that's
idea.
Create a bio for yourself and just send it, and a picture of yourself.
Yeah, even if it's just you and you don't have employees.
I would do it. I would still do it.
I'll send this around if you want to look at it.
Sounds good. And then, another thing that you can also do, coming back to newsletters, I mean, if you do a newsletter, you can just tell them, hey, I'd like to throw you on my newsletter list. I send out, it's got good recipes, fun jokes, discounts.
Yeah.
People be interested in that.
Good.
Yeah, those are great ideas, both of them. Thank you very much.
So what else did you have up on that wheel, too?
Well, I went through it. I just had business cards, website, Google Places, networking groups. Word of mouth is actually my biggest. The giveaways you mentioned, and I think capturing emails would be on the wagon wheel. I'd like to
For
add
sure.
that.
I mean, list building is huge. I'm going to tell you, anytime you can collect that information, you're going to, it's mission critical, really.
One thing I haven't found yet is besides just making my own Excel program is a program to keep track of all the contacts and everything.
Do you use Microsoft Outlook at all?
I do not. I mean, I did for years and years, and then now that I'm not in front of a computer, I don't.
It's phenomenal that you can categorize, you can
Jerry was really good at that.
Jerry's a master.
He taught me a ton of stuff in,
Yeah, we were at the
in
same
Outlook.
meeting.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, you're right. I remember
Yeah, well,
that.
I mean, I have it. I just, since I stopped working at the last job, I haven't. So 3 years I haven't used it.
Yeah.
And the only thing I didn't like about it is I didn't like all the emails ending up on my computer instead of on the cloud.
That was actually my big problem, too, with it.
What's that?
Well, the Outlook, all the emails end up on the computer, on your computer.
Uh-huh.
And so you can only look at them from your computer, whereas you use another service, then they're on the cloud, and so anywhere I am, I can check emails.
Yeah, I can use.
I think there's a setting, actually.
Mine's well, I use Live Office. So if you send an email to me, I get it on my phone. I get it in my box. I get it. I can also log into any computer and check. So I'm in an age, and you can forward like Google Gmail to Microsoft Outlook. There's no reason why you can't.
Well, I think also there's actually a setting in Microsoft Outlook that says delete my files off the server or leave them there, is what I was told. Because I have not been using it for that reason, but I was talking to somebody recently that told me it's just a setting you have to click on or off.
I'm sure they're up to speed now. It's just been 3 years since I looked at it.
Yeah.
So that's a good suggestion. So you can keep, and I know what it does. So
Yeah.
okay.
I'd also say particularly for Mark and Mark, both of you, I mean, you do business at their home address, which means you automatically have their home address. So
Right.
at the very least, I'd be sending a thank you card with a referral request in it. Thank you so much. I'd love some feedback from you on how I did. If you enjoyed my work, please refer me to someone else. My business depends on people like you.
Or go to my Facebook or website.
Or,
and
yeah,
write a
see?
testimonial.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that works well because when you use the thank you, thank you for doing business with me. How can I improve? Send me to somebody else type of format. You're basically sandwiching the negative in the middle there, and you've got the two positives on the end there. I mean, there's no reason why someone wouldn't want to do that if they really did enjoy the service that you provide. So I think that's a great way to go about it too. So what are some of the other items you have on people's wheels? I'm wondering.
I put down referral systems, flyers, and catalogs. I don't know if that counts.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
I do some cold calling. I'd rather not, but I do some. Facebook giveaways. There's some of those we haven't talked about.
Trade associations are big with me.
Yep, I can see that.
There's a zillion of them.
Now,
Yeah.
what do you mean by that? How does that benefit you?
Just take one association called NARPA, National Association of Real Property Managers. Property managers in my business are big because every property has furnaces or boilers or ACs. They need someone to service them, and they want to use someone they know. There's another organization we belong to that is just an organization of HOAs, people who are community association people. We had a booth at the apartment show yesterday, Freedom Financial Center, just the apartment association. And any place where we can go to mingle with people who manage property of any kind is tremendous
Did you ever
exposure.
talk to Brian Seal?
Left him a message.
Yeah, that's interesting.
And the thing
Of
is,
course, you got to have the time to commit to them. It's very similar to PetNet in that if you go just looking for what I'm going to get and leave and go, man, I didn't get anything, you got to commit. You just got to commit and jump in.
Oh, so this is an ongoing relationship.
But they're usually time monthly meetings, Mark, yeah.
and the thing about that I like too is that you're looking. Because one of the things I always want to talk about when leveraging your sales is how can you get away from selling one person at a time. You want to sell lots of people all the time. So why focus, on selling one person if you can get 20 people in a room and then sell 4 or 5 at one time? I think it seems to me a better use of your time and resources.
Sometimes I'll go to sales meetings because they have them once a month at least at like real estate agents, real estate offices, and that way you've got a room of 20 to 40 people.
Realtors?
Yeah,
So how do you get invited to that then?
I know.
Oh, you
some
know.
realtors. Yeah.
You know, I think maybe for you. Go ahead.
Well, I was just say, if you have a realtor, you can just ask them, like, hey, how do I get into one?
I wonder if you would have a giveaway at those meetings.
Yes.
And I think part of your issue is that people have to start using you. Once they use you and figure out how easy it is, I think they'll use the service again. And so I think a giveaway is very important for you. But it's costly.
It is
That's
somewhat.
That's
Yeah.
the downside.
It is, because I pretty much have to just.
You have to pay for it all.
Yeah. But I have done that like at after hours for like chamber events, and I gave one to Michael Ferris for one of his events, and those kinds of things.
Yeah.
Haven't seen a lot come back out of it unless
Yeah.
I'm there to talk about it.
That's true.
Yeah. But like at a sales meeting for real estate agents, I can do that because then I'm there.
Which is tough. I bet you a lot of Michael's marketing techniques are working well in your business, though.
What other things are on your wheel?
Email, business cards, networking, word of mouth.
Yeah, networking's got to be. I'll be honest. If I got an email saying, "Hey," well, I would.
Well,
I would use
you don't get it until you see it, really. I mean, it's a visual. I have people go, well, tell me what it is over the phone. I'm like, I'd love to do that, but you really, I mean, just legitimately, you don't understand it. I had a company who is doing marketing on their Facebook, and they're asking me to come in and do a $100 one as a giveaway.
Yeah.
And the plan is so that I would get more likes on my Facebook and possibly get more. And I said, so here's my concern, is that I only use my Facebook for people who've already seen it. I don't go out there advertising because you don't get it until you'll see it. So, I'm trying to decide whether that's worth it for me, because I could have a 2-week period where they're advertising me on their Facebook page, and I can have links on there, and I can have little blurbs and that kind of stuff. Our website actually is pretty good at, that there's a video on there and stuff like that.
Is it your website or the company website?
It's a company website, but there's a direct place that I can send for the ribbon video.
Okay.
So, yeah. So I don't know. I'm kind of trying to decide that one too, whether it's because I could get my name out there a lot. I could get a lot more likes on my Facebook, and that's where I put a lot of information. But again, it's people kind of have to see it.
Yeah. Well, my other concern is I wouldn't want to put too much effort into that if you're not going to get a measurable return on investment back. One thing I might point out with anything that is tied to a link, you can add tracking to it. And I should have mentioned this before when we were talking about tracking. Services like TinyURL, Bitly, these services allow you to basically take a given URL. Say, for instance, my email software is www.afromarketing.net/email marketer. That's a long URL. I don't want to give that out to everybody all the time. So instead, what I can do is I run it through Bitly, and Bitly gives me this jumbled, crazy-looking email address. It might be bit.ly//E_w4. And when they click on that, it actually routes them through to the original URL, but then it tracks all of that information through the Bitly or TinyURL service. So how I use this for a client, she has a glass company, and she puts out art glass, and she puts out a class schedule every month related to the classes that she teaches. So what I did was I changed the class schedule to include links, all of the links that she had in there, I changed to Bitly links. So now whenever anybody each month clicks on a link from her class schedule, she's going to get, she'll be able to log in and take a look at a report and see, this month I drew X many clicks to my website from my class schedule. I drew X many clicks over to my email address that wanted to contact me directly from this. So if you give out anything like that, simply using Bitly to track it is an excellent way to find out if you're getting clicks or not.
Is that a free service?
Yes, it is. I think it's bit.ly. But if you just Google Bitly, B-I-T-L-Y, or TinyURL, T-I-N-Y-U-R-L, you'll find those services. Both are free and they're competitive. So, and Bitly's my favorite though, because they made some real new cool changes that are really Because now I have a separate file for each client that I'm doing Bitly for, and bundles of links, if you will, that are just much more organized and easier to manage my clients that way. But it's a service I use all the time, have for years, totally free.
So you're thinking kind of like I am, that that's sort of just fishing out there and may not...
Yeah, honestly, I mean, when Facebook went public, there's some kind of revelations about the fact that the marketing on Facebook is not what they made it appear to be. And that a lot of the people using Facebook are using it on mobile platforms, and Facebook does not have a way to advertise on mobile platforms. So essentially, much of, for instance, Facebook advertising was being wasted. And they had to admit that. Of course, they admitted it only after they went public with the company and made billions, but they were eventually forced to admit that in court. And so, I mean, I love social media. I think it's important, and it should be on all of our wagon wheels. Honestly, it's on mine. But it costs time when time is money, and then also we have to look at the side effect of how much am I really bringing in from it. And the way I look at my social media is I don't expect to make anything off of it, and so if I do make something off of it, then that's a positive.
Well, I'm really surprised because, I've had people say put something on there every day, make sure you're doing something, but it's not always about your business. It could be related, it could not be, it could just be a funny joke, and whatever. But I even put out a contest that, I don't know if any of you guys will win or not, but guess who's going to win the Super Bowl? That's a 50-50 chance. And you could get into a drawing for a free ribbon album. And no one did it.
Huh.
Well, I would want to look at then, because typically when advertising doesn't work the way it's expected to, I like to take a look and see, okay, was there multiple contacts? Did you tweet it just once, or did you send it out several times over the course of the month? Did you have an irresistible offer in it? Did you have, you start coming back to, did you have testimonials in there of happy people that have already used your service so that they'd know I can trust you, that type of thing? That's where I go with my thought patterns. I don't just dismiss the marketing right away. I want to look at why didn't it work then? And that's what I would tend to think is, the first thing I'd say is, was it multiple sequences? Is typically where marketing breaks down, is we only contacted or tried it once. So that's something to think
I
about.
probably did it 2 or 3 times, but I didn't have...
3's a good number.
Yeah. Testimonials.
But I mean, there's, you could have maybe, I don't know how you promoted it, but you could have promoted it as a tab on your Facebook fan page. More
Yeah,
than
it was
just a
just
post.
more as like a status post on my Facebook
Gotcha.
business page.
Okay. And then also, leveraging, being on multiple social media outlets is something I recommend. I do think you should post every day like that. Typically, I recommend 3 times a day, honestly.
Yeah.
But, for that to be a part of your marketing.
I know, I've heard twice a day, and I'm lucky if I get on there once.
Well,
If I get on every year.
Well, it's just different. Different people.
it is.
I don't get on there either, but
And I don't get on there as much as I used to, honestly.
Yeah.
And also part of that, though, is...
it's bad.
Yeah, well, it is. I think it is fundamentally changing the way people communicate, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's fundamentally changing in a positive direction.
Yeah.
So, and there is research showing now that that social media is trending down. That it's kind of hit a market saturation, if you will.
Well,
It's-
you get on there and you read these posts by people that you care less. That,
yeah, I'm eating a taco.
That,
Yeah.
my hair
Ready
won't
for
go
my
right today
workout.
or whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, this is a waste of time. So I never get on there. But my family members or my friends, that's a good way to communicate. I had a barbecue last week at my house, and we connected several folks I used to be staying with in New Mexico, and they came to my house. But the way I announced it was Facebook. I said I invited them to the event, and it was easy because I didn't have to go. But
Yeah. And I have to admit, I haven't drawn a tremendous amount of business directly related to social media. I mean, I have, but not in a highly measurable way. And so, I mean, I also use Facebook, though. Well, also think about how you can use your different marketing media. So for Facebook, one of the key things I did when I got on Facebook is I friended and got to talk to all of the people that were above me in business. So people like Zig Ziglar, and a lot of marketing names that I know, like Lee Miltier. She's a great woman in success thinking and programming and self-talk and all of that. And so I was able to connect with all these high-tier people, and they now know of me, or at least know who I am, and that allowed me to kind of talk to other people that they know.
that's cool.
And so in reality, all of the people that I admire and have mentored under on Facebook, I share friends with about on average 100 people because I got connected to their network that way. And so now it's a little bit harder because I did that when Facebook was, back in 2008 when I first joined. But I mean, it's a great tool to connect with other people in ways that you might not think of.
Well, on LinkedIn, I think is even more that way for me. Facebook, I try to keep it, although I have a business page, but I keep that more specific. LinkedIn, I try to link with anybody who's out there. And so I'm even looking right now, like Northern Colorado, I can look for specific people and try to find their HR and get connected with them and say, hey, I'm going to be in your area on Friday. Can you meet with me? And, that kind of
I'm
stuff.
sure there's value in it, but I've never talked to anybody who really has seen a lot of money made off of LinkedIn or Facebook, and so that's what I don't understand.
Yeah.
What's the point? I know it's for community. Maybe it's like networking, but in a networking group. But I just don't get it. I don't see the value, and if I did, I would do it.
Definitely.
And that's where I'm probably mentally or emotionally missing it.
I guess, at least for me, the way I would kind of try and picture it as is, being on social media is your tool belt. So what tools are you using on social media now? So just being on social media for the sake of being on social media is not going to get you business. But if you have a Facebook fan page that's geared using some of the things I mentioned in this course towards getting leads, like for instance on my Facebook fan page, I do garner email addresses because I have an email opt-in. I tell people I'll give you a free widget if you opt in, and I get emails that way. And so
they just want a free widget, so they give you their email address,
Yeah.
and you send them your weekly newsletter.
Yep, and then maybe a year or two from now they do business with me.
All right. Okay.
Maybe they don't.
I get it. That makes sense.
But the key thing is that once I send them my email, if you remember the tracking, I now have a good judge. Okay, are they reading my emails? Could that person be converted? Are they engaging on my page now because of the information I'm now sending them? I mean,
It's just, again, all these things are just the multiple spokes to
Yep.
make a stronger wheel. So it's just one more thing to do.
yeah, and it's not that you have to do any one thing, I suggest. This is more about throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what sticks for your business. So, one thing I just wanted, go ahead.
No.
I was going to take the topic in a different direction, so if you had anything on that one.
No.
Okay, well, I wanted to touch on referral system, since I have that on my wheel as well. That is just huge. If you don't have a system for referrals in your business, you've got to get one. The number one, the easiest person to sell your services to is someone that's done business with you before. The second easiest person to sell is someone referred to you by someone that's done business with you before. The third is going to be someone that's just off the street, cold calling, which you shouldn't be cold calling. If you want to sit down and do a one-on-one sometime, I can help you get
And
away
what was
from
the
cold
first that
calling.
somebody you've already done business with?
Yeah, the easiest sell is someone that you've already done business with. The second easiest is going to be someone referred to you by someone you've done business with. And then the hardest sell is going to be someone off the street.
Yeah, and I would say I did more cold calling at the beginning, and I did get some, but it's a smaller number. You have to call a bit more
Yeah, well-
people in order to do that.
Yeah, my issue with cold calling, and keep in mind this is coming from a telemarketer, back in the day, that it's a lot of brain damage, bashing your head against that wall, trying to get people to respond when they're already, because you want to have it switch from being an unwelcome pest to a welcome guest.
Yeah.
So as much as you can do to get them sold ahead of time and for them to interact and know about you before you ever set foot in their door, the better chance you'll have of making that sale.
Now, I did end up, then when I would get those, one or two, those people would then refer me to others, and that's how I got away from not really having.
No, that's good. That's good.
What do you do, Mark? What's your wagon wheel?
For referrals,
I know you guys have got a good referral system in place.
well, I think we do, but it's a little. I've got to tweak it. And as a matter of fact, something you brought up earlier today, I've got what's called 1 to tell, 2 to sell. After I do a job for you, and you tell a friend, and I just go to their house and give them a proposal, I will buy the initial person a $50 gift card for dinner. If I end up selling them something, I give that person another $50. So it's 1 to tell, 2 to sell.
Or you give them a
Nice.
$50 ribbon gift card.
There you go. But it's my problem is getting them off dead center to do it. It's a good program, and one customer I bought dinner 4 times for in a year, and she's awesome. She sent me a ton of business. But other people, they just don't engage. And I've got to figure out a way. And I thought of, okay, we'll give them, instead of still operating 1 to tell, 2 to sell, but give them 2 coupons or 50% off furnace cleaning to give to their friends.
Yeah.
Do people respond more to a gift like a dinner or a Home Depot card as opposed to 50% off of a cleaning? I mean, what do people respond more to?
Mark, it's a good question. And I don't know. I would rather give a gift than a discount.
Well,
Yes.
I think about PepNet. If I said I'll give you half off, if my gift for the speaker gift was half off a carpet cleaning, then it's like But if I gave a $25 gift certificate, for Applebee's or something, or Starbucks, then they'd be happier. You'd be happier to get that, right? Than half off.
And your exposure
No,
Well,
is
it's
less.
better for you,
depends.
too.
Depends on what you
You
need.
got a
I guess.
5,500 square foot house, you're in big trouble.
Exactly.
Well, not necessarily. I mean, anytime I've ever given a service away, I always get back, from people I know.
Yeah.
But
I'd
I get what
rather
you're
have
saying.
the 50% off because you've cleaned my carpet before and I need
Yeah.
it done, and so, in my opinion, I would think.
Well, from a
it'd be more
stranger. I'm talking about from a stranger. First time.
So, yeah, I don't know. So how would you give the gift is my opinion, or my question. Would it be after you did service at their house, or would you, I'm asking you, Mark, how would you give the gift? Would it be,
Well, I'm asking the same question.
Okay.
That's why I was asking.
I think it'd be
Mark.
powerful for, sell the client that you already sold, right? Give the 10% off or 20% off cleaning their carpet. Because number one, it brings business back into your door. They're not spending it at Chili's. And number two, like Michael just said, it's easier to sell a client that you've already sold.
I know one carpet cleaner. They keep track, and every person, if they give a referral, they get 10% off. They give 2 referrals, they get 20, up to a free cleaning. So every time they give one, if they give 10 referrals, they get their house cleaned
I want that.
for free.
I have heard, though, that, like, as a business person, you want to upsell them rather than give a discount, like, because that's eating into your profit, whereas if you can sell them something, if you can give them something extra, then you're not losing any of your profit.
What do you mean?
Well, Michael, you've said that before about discounts. Have you not?
Yeah, essentially what you're speaking to is you don't want to cannibalize your sales, essentially. If you're giving
Yeah.
discounts to people that are already giving you money, then you're cannibalizing your sales.
So I'll give a free protectant, carpet protectant, for
That
every
would be-
referral.
Yes,
So it means something extra.
So that would be an extra, that would be an upsell, but it's not taking money out of my pocket.
right.
I see.
Really,
That
not
makes
much.
sense. That makes sense.
My
So
thought
it's kind of what Mark, their program does, though, right?
Yes,
It's an upsell.
right.
And in my circumstance, once I've installed, I don't have a chance immediately to get repeat sales because part of what I sell is lifetime warranty, which includes my yearly maintenance. So I'm already going to come back, and that's an agreement. So, but getting them to reach out, oftentimes I'll give that someone something. Oh, I got a friend or my son, and it's great. Let me buy you dinner, and I never hear from them. So I need to figure out a catalyst to make them reach out.
Well, one of the things I thought about when we were going around, Mark, for you, is if they don't buy the service agreement or they don't buy a repeat visit, could you guys inexpensively have furnace filters printed with your company name and phone number? And you would give, all right, I understand you're not interested in that, but what I'd like to do is give you 3 furnace filters. You can do the 30-day ones that are pretty inexpensive. And that way, they're going to keep them because they're going to use them. Right? If they give them a magnet, that might not get put anywhere, but they're going to keep the furnace filter. And, in my mind, if I'm having problems with my furnace, I'm down there looking at it anyway, I'm going to call these guys. It's right there. I don't know.
It's a great idea.
Yeah, and then if you're doing custom furnace filters, then there's going to be room there for some kind of marketing message, I would hope. And maybe the message is something like, well, if you use this furnace, you get a clean, you get a free filter for a month. If you give this to a friend who uses my services, you get X.
Even on the filter, you could put a sticker on the side of the filter that they stick in there.
Yeah.
And so when they pull it out, they see it there.
Just an idea. I thought
I
of
appreciate it.
I mean, it sounds like to me, too, what we're really kind of touching on, again, is the irresistible offer. How can we make an irresistible offer in our referral requests so that people will engage and take action? My thoughts on what you had mentioned before, anytime you can give food or drink, that's an excellent motivator because that connects with people on a primal level. If you feed somebody, they feel differently about them if you just gave them a card. So that's always a great thing. That's one thing I liked about send-out cards when Sandy was here, is that you can give brownies and food and gifts like that. So that's a great one. Also, though, I think that once again, what should be guiding those decisions is taking a look at who is your ideal customer, who is your perfect client, and what would they want.
You're absolutely right. That's the tough thing.
Man, yeah.
Is
Well,
that
my question is, do you go out to dinner with them?
No.
Okay. Because I had a school district that would go take the person to dinner, and I thought, I would not want to go to dinner with my boss. So you do have to really
No,
think about,
I get it.
that. And I had a different school district that was giving, like, a clock for retirement. And I said, well, do they like that? And he went, I don't know. So that is a good point. So you really have to...
It's that message medium market
Yeah.
kind of match. And
what Michael, I think, was saying there a minute ago was ensuring that you reward the folks that give you clients that are good clients for you. Don't bombard your doors with a bunch of clients that potentially you're not going to make.
Yes.
And so
Yeah.
that's the other side of it, is you want to make sure your marketing is structured to where, you don't want to be down cleaning rentals down by the university all day that are, 700 square
exactly.
foot.
Well, there's guys, I don't try to get into the apartment market because there's guys that are cleaning a 2-bedroom apartment for $39. I won't even start my machine for $39. No, seriously.
yeah, that's not even the gas.
I won't. I don't know how they make any money. They just blow and go. Just boom, boom, boom. I don't
Do
get
a
it.
great job.
But that's a market, that volume I don't want to do. It takes time.
Yeah, and you never want to be the lowest priced provider in your service ever. I mean, there's no money in that. I mean, Walmart's the lowest, provider in their area, but before Walmart, there's Kmart. Before Kmart, there's JCPenney. Before JCPenney, there was Sears. They all sold on volume, and they're all disappearing. Walmart will go the way as all the others did before them.
A lot of that is the brick and mortar isn't really the place to be right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I try to structure my referral program based on, okay, so if Mark refers John, then I wait until John makes an order, and depending on what that order is, that's how much Mark gets. Now, I don't know, if that sounds bad.
I don't
It makes
understand
sense.
what you just
But
said.
It
it's
makes
sort
sense.
of a
But you see,
percentage.
you're bypassing, what if they don't order? Do you still take care of the person that sent it?
You see, and
I think I have to, because just getting them to say, hey, use this guy, that's all I can ask for them to do. They're not
Yeah.
going to sell, I'm going to sell.
Exactly. That's a huge
good
point.
That's
Huge
a good point. You should reward anytime you get a referral, regardless of whether you make a sale.
I take care of anyone.
so you give them a 50, but see, yours is a bigger product.
Of course, I'm average $4,000. So.
Right, and mine is the highest is 1,000, and I don't make all of that.
Well, just to interject real quick, what we're really talking about here is lifetime customer value.
Right.
The question is, how long is a customer going to be worth to you over the time of their life? And that is what should determine how much you can afford to spend to get them, or what you can afford to give them as a gift. That's the real question. What's their lifetime customer value?
That's true.
Because if you have a customer that's going to be with you that maybe their initial purchase is only $100, but they'll be with you for the rest of their life, well, then you can afford to give them a $400 or $500 gift. I mean, you'll take a little hit up front, but they'll be with you for life.
Yeah,
And so that's really what you're looking at here is what's your lifetime customer value.
Yeah.
that's true.
That makes sense. And you guys bring up some good points. So I need your help. What's my irresistible offer?
I think often people get caught up on selling what they do and not the bigger piece.
Yeah.
So, for instance, a car repair, I like to go to that one a lot since I've worked there a lot. Oftentimes people say, I'm just a mechanic. No, you're a person that enables people to live the American dream. You allow them to travel freely, and while doing so, you protect their children from the dangers of that road out there. You do so much more than what you think you do. And me, people say, you sell advertising. No, I allow people to fulfill their dreams. I give them the money they need to achieve their desires in life.
I love it.
No,
Yeah, no, that's good.
And so,
people want to know what's
That's the
what's
sunny
in it
side
for
of the
them.
street.
yeah, what's the highest value that you are and that you do. And I say for you, it's protecting families. It's the same thing. It's enabling dreams. It's it's allowing to send your children to college. It's keeping your home. It's a retirement 10 years early for generations. Yeah, see? And that, coming from that place, makes that a lot easier to kind of look at that, I think.
Well, like when I ski, people say, you'll be on the lift, what do you do? And if I say, I'm a carpet cleaner, then they just look down, and that's it. That's it. Or I own a carpet cleaning business. It doesn't mean anything. So there could be some snappy line to draw interest. I like it. That's it.
People
there
come
is.
up with a snappy line.
Here's a snappy line just in that area that I learned from somebody for real estate. If someone asks you if you're a real estate agent, what do you do? Well, have you ever seen a home that you would love to afford, or have you ever seen a home that you would love to own but didn't think you could afford? That's what I do. And so when people answer that question, what it requires is I have to now go into my mind and activate a different part of my brain, think positive feelings about a home I would like to own. Now keep in mind the words are, but didn't think you could afford. Think you could afford. I'm telling them they can afford the home of their dreams. And that's a very simple way to answer that question.
So let's hear it one more time.
Have you ever seen a home that you would love to own but didn't think you could afford? And the psychology that goes into that, and it is psychology, it's sales psychology, I assure you, designed by psychologists. So that's a very powerful way to go about simply, and a real estate guy could say, I sell homes. Well, that's completely different than have you ever seen a home that you would love to own but didn't think you could afford. So I always try and play the higher instincts. Yeah, you're right, it is. It is. It is. There's another one, that I just want to toss out there briefly, too, that you mentioned, Mark, that is just killer. You can't expect people to go and sell for you. People purchase from you, and you may include them as part of your sales process, but they are not your sales force. So coming back to the social media comment and the tool belt, you may have a referral system, but if you don't have tools in that referral system, it isn't going to do you any good. So you've got to have referral cards that you give out to people. You should have in your office posted loudly and proudly what your referral program is. Because if people don't know that you have a referral program, they can't refer to you. And so I think, all too often we expect, just because you do a good job and you're an excellent human being, doesn't mean you're going to get business. Same thing with the nose to the grindstone comment. If you put your nose to the grindstone the whole life, you'll end up with no nose. It doesn't mean that you're going to get what you deserve in life.
That's good.
So awesome. It's the people that go out there and ask and sell and promote that will get it. And I really think I'm about shameless self-promotion because I truly do believe at my core that everybody could use my services and benefit from them. So coming from that place, it's your duty. You're failing people if you don't sell yourself to them. So,
perfect.
All right. Any other questions or comments?
No,
I think we went a little over.
This is a great meeting. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, I'm glad everybody got something out of it. I'll be delivering materials to you all next Thursday. And just to close things out, I would say I'm Michael Black, AfroMarketing. If you have any questions, I'm here for you.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
Great job.
Good seeing you, everybody.
Great to see you, Mark. John, I'll just give you a call because I got to get to the job.
I apologize.
I didn't realize we went a little over there.
I didn't get some time.
Yeah.
Mark, do you want this bio sheet?
I would like you to send me
I will.
an email of that,
Yeah, will
if
do.
you can. Just what you do, because that's an excellent idea that John said. That's a way to capture the email and give them, let them know who's coming to the door.
And it's built around the fact that 70% of the first touch you do with someone is with the radio house.
There you go.
Yeah, me too.
Target
What he
market.
looks like. He's old and fat. Got some experience. He's got a gray beard, so when he rings your doorbell,
Bye, John.
Take care.
And I do have a food